What's up? This is Jeff. Right now you're tuned in with Cloudy Conversations. Let's get into it.
So we're back with another episode of Cloudy Conversations. Today's guest is Jeff, owner of Fineline Auto, as well as a real estate investor. Welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Now, like many of our guests this season, you are from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So just tell me a little bit about yourself growing up there and, how the city was, growing up in the city played in your life.
Yeah, born and raised in Harrisburg, like many of us all from the surrounding areas. I would say growing up, it's pretty cool. I mostly grew up on the hill, but I was a bad young boy. I was all over. Riding my bike in everywhere I ain't supposed to be. But, it was pretty much, I done went to, school-wise and stuff, I done went to, every school from Roland to Camp Curtin to Downey to, what else? I done went to, every school, all of them. So,
and do you think you being going to different schools played a role in you being so all over the city? I don't know all these kids already.
Yeah, so I think that's what it is, because it was at a point in time I was going to Camp Curtin, so I was uptown, and then I was going to Roland, and then I was going to Downey, then I was going to Lincoln. So it's I was just
really in every little pocket.
Yeah, every school, every little pocket. And the city only but so big, so it ain't hard to know everybody for real. Especially at that age when you just running around.
Were you into sports at that age, or you just like to just kind of be outside?
I did play basketball. I played AAU. The AAU circuit. That's always been big. I never played for Harrisburg or nothing like that, but I did play for teams and the little leagues and stuff that they would have.
And did you like sports, or that's just something you did kind of as a kid keep you preoccupied?
Yeah, I liked it. Everybody got a basketball dream or something that they gonna do, but I don't know. I feel I kind of noticed early in life I ain't going to no NBA. So I kind of was I was okay. I wasn't bad. Any team I played for, I got ticked. So it's any team I played for, I played. But I just...
It wasn't
it wasn't really
thing.
Then once I started getting older and I started I was I am...
out here running every day.
Yeah, I'm cool. That is just,
Now, like we said, you're from Harrisburg. You kind of had the same influences growing up around here as far as things to do. But I think one thing that plays a major role in your story is the actual male role models that you had in your life at a young age, kind of giving you game and influencing you. So how did having those role models help kind of change your mindset to what it might have been known as a kid to kind of get you oh snap, the world's so much bigger?
I would just say, believe it or not. Most of my uncles and something they was in jail or in and out of jail, but it was they used to just always tell me don't be in the streets, don't you look at me you see what's going to happen, no matter how much money you getting, how much you this is the result, So I felt that, and then me too. You gotta think their generation is different versus our generation now. Coming up, it's it's so many different ways to make money. I know people that was in high school making money off of selling sneakers. You know what I mean? Remember when that era was popping, sneaker releases, it ain't. And that's another thing I be trying to show people. Bro, selling drugs is not the only way to get. You know what I mean? I know people that never touched a drug a day in their life, and they up more than people that's been trapping all their life. So it's you know what I mean?
And with seeing your uncles going to jail and them kind of telling you, do you think that's all the influence that you need more so than you going out there and finding out the hard way, all right, they was right, I really probably shouldn't be doing this?
No, I would say it's a mixture of them too. And, it was other homies and stuff that I had that was actually, older people that I knew that was actually out and living, owning businesses and stuff like that too. So I'm not going to say that I didn't have other, I just had a bunch of, I didn't even want to say I really had a bunch of influence or role models. I did, but at the same time, it's kind of like you just gotta be smart and pick and choose. Like you know that's wrong or you know this is right. Like you know what I mean. You just gotta take a look at everything and everybody and just be like, oh, all right, they got that going. That's cool. You know what I mean?
And like, what age do you think you kind of developed this personality of being able to like learn from others' experiences and not necessarily having to go through a situation and know like that's not for you?
I would say I wouldn't really say it's an age. I would really say it's more so going through experiences and then noticing like, all right, yeah, this ain't for me, or going, you know what I mean? Everybody go through something that make them change, or I ain't even gonna say change, but just make them realize too. Yeah. Like it could be even something little. Not saying it gotta be a tragic situation. It could be something that's just simple and little. You'd be like, oh yeah, I ain't fooling with that no more. Or, you know what I mean? This might be a better idea to do next time.
Do you think your life maybe would have turned out the same or maybe even on this path if you didn't have like the experiences as far as, you know, early saying, all right, that's not for me, as well as your uncle saying, you know, bro, like just fall back, follow your own path?
That's like a hard question, honestly. Well, I ain't gonna say it's a hard question, but it's like, I don't know, that's like a question where it's just like one of them. That's like anybody. Like I just feel like your plan, like you might got your vision, but you don't really know where it's gonna go. Like it's just kind of like blind faith. You just stick to something. Like you just be like, all right, this is what I'm on. This is what I'm rocking. Now I will say, probably like if I didn't have that, I probably would have been done. I mean, I was already bad, so like who knows? You know what I mean? That's like.
When you say bad, you mean like you were just pretty much, you say you were just outside all the time?
Yeah, like I was always getting suspended from school, like bad. Like I got expelled from Harrisburg School District.
At what age was that?
That was when I was in like 7th grade.
Okay, so
like 6th, 7th grade.
That's kind of still middle school-ish.
Yeah, like middle. It was like the end. It was at like 7th grade, and then that's when I got sent over to Lincoln. When it was like you had to wear the uniform and all that, like Lincoln Lions, and then. The next year I was supposed to go to William Penn, but I never went because that's when they shut it down and they just sent everybody everywhere. But being as though I got expelled from Harrisburg School District, I couldn't even go to the high when they sent all the kids up there. So I was trying to go to, you know, East to handle, like using family members' addresses and stuff. They like, nah, you're not coming here. Then I ended up going to, it's a school called River Rock. It's kind of like a Braxis, but it's like across the river. But that joint to me, that joint ain't no Braxis. Them joints was weird. Like, yeah, it was like, I don't know.
I say, what was the experience like going from, you know, being in your neighborhood, Harrisburg School District?
I feel like that's what it did it for me, honestly, because when I went over there, like, I was trying to go to, like, East and the Hannah and stuff. You know, them's the popping schools. I'm like, I'm telling my mom, like, oh, see if Aunt so-and-so let me use her. Like, I'm trying to go there. But then once I went, I mean, I kind of feel like it worked out for the better. Because the only school that I ended up, after I went to the River Rock, it's like it was basically like a Braxis. You got times to go. Like, that joint was nutty for real. Like, you got to get on a van and all. You know what I mean? Like, it was so like the same thing. Like, it was like a little program. That joint was nutty. So, from there, I ended up going to Mechanicsburg. Which I feel like that's like, I mean, it was still, I feel like it took me out the environment because it's like I was over there. I mean, I was still doing dumb stuff over there for a minute, but then after a while, it just became like, it's different over there. Like the school system's different over there. Like, I remember when I first went there, I'm like, yo, they got a pool in their school. Like,
that's there.
Yeah, like they got a pool in this, like it was just different over there. I'm like, and then as I started going over there, I mean, I didn't really have many friends. Like, I had some people I was cool with, but I'm like, all right, like, this is different. And then, I don't know, I'm glad it happened because it kind of took me out that environment that we got here.
It showed you at a young age.
Like, I was still coming, like, every day, I came home from school, it's like, dang, I'm just at the crib now. Like, I ain't got no transportation here. Like, I used to try to get rides and stuff to see my mom. She like, nah. You're not going. You go there on the weekend. Yeah. So then, but when the weekend came, I'm like, I'm out. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not staying around here.
You know, that makes sense. And probably, like you said, that probably is, like, was for your better, greater good in the end, being around your experiences, shit. Like you said, you walk in their school and they got a pool. Like, you probably never
just
even
little
knew
stuff
shit like that. Like,
yeah.
because I'm thinking like, damn, they got a pool in the school. Like, that'd have been kind of lit. More people to know how to fucking
not
swim.
even just that, their education system's good too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. In school, I was like a C and D student. I wasn't really the brightest. I mean, I wasn't dumb.
But you just
I just schooled in me. Like I was one of them kids in school. I didn't really. I'm like, man, listen.
Fuck this shit.
I'm not going to college. I wasn't thinking about it. Like, I mean, not saying it's a bad thing.
But you knew.
But I just knew it wasn't for me. I'm like, I barely like school, so why would I go spend money to go to school? Like, that's just wild to me when people do that. Like, you know, teachers own.
Now, what do you think at that age was probably one of the biggest lessons that you learned before you transitioned out of high school to kind of put you on that trajectory?
What you mean?
Like more so like, I wouldn't want to say like an event that happened, but like maybe, I guess kind of answer that with saying when you went over to Mechanicsburg and you got the experience to see that kind of opened up your mind to the possibilities. Now, when you were in high school, that's when you were working for like the detail shop?
Yeah, well, I didn't even, it was really when I graduated.
Okay, so after you transitioned.
Yeah, like after like when I was in high school, like I was working, but it was, like I played basketball there, but then like 10th grade came and I kind of just faded off of it. Like I ain't even, I'm just like, man, I ain't, like I just, like ever since then, I remember it was like 10th grade, I just faded off of basketball. I'm like, man, I ain't worried about no. And then from there, like I was working and stuff. Like I worked at like, you know, the normal jobs, teenager, like UPS. But I always was quitting jobs though. Like I could never, like my resume was super long. I'm like, man, this is slave. Like I ain't, like I had that mindset so early. Like I tell people, there's nothing wrong with working a job, but for me, it just ain't for me. Like it was just like slave work to me. So I just
always quitting jobs, going back and forth. And then after you got out of high school is when you found like the body shop work, and you kind of obviously stayed in that lane a little bit more. Yeah. So what was like the benefit to working, actually being in the shop, seeing how things were going?
Yeah. Well, I was at my homie D Wood. I know you know he actually worked at Brenner Nissan, and he had told me, he like, yo, they got a car wash position at my job. You want it? I'm like, yeah, like. So I mean, I already like detailed cars, like cleaned them on the side, but I really wasn't like, because I was working like little warehouse jobs and stuff like that. And then he told me about that, and I'm like, all right. So I was working in a regular car wash, and then from there, like a detailing position came open in the actual body shop, and that's when I like got transferred over there. And then, you know what I mean? I just was observing stuff like the R&I, like them tearing down the cars, them painting the cars. Like I never seen that stuff until I worked in the body shop. Then I just, you know what I mean? I wasn't being trained on it or nothing, but just me seeing it just was making me interested. Like, oh, all right, cool.
And did you also see like the how the car game works? Like you like, we can fix it, we can sell it, like
yeah, pretty much there. I mean, I've always like bought little buckets and stuff and sold them. It's just, but at that time I wasn't thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna have a dealership. Like I'm gonna have a, you know what I mean? I was just thinking, I'm just trying to make money right now. Like I ain't worried about, you know what I mean?
So, when did you? Well, cause you like you said, you always kind of had a thing for cars and everything. So, what would be the first car that you bought to sell before the dealership?
The first car, I don't even remember. Like the first car I bought to sell. Matter of fact, I remember I was working at Brenner. I bought this Crown Vic off of somebody. I gave him like $600 for this junk. That junk was horrible though. Like that car was just, it was all bad on it. I swore I was gonna fix that junk so much that I ended up just selling it for like what I paid for it just to get rid of it.
Get rid of it because it was gonna be too much. So you like the kind of big cars that would be a project, like on a personal tip, like they fix up?
No, like I would get project cars, but that's usually like for me.
Okay.
Usually cars I'm trying to flip, I'm trying to get the cars like, at that time I was trying to get them at least running, driving, inspected so I can, you know what I mean, buy a little 15, try to sell it for $3,500 or something. Like,
a little quick flip.
Yeah.
So then, when you're working in the detail shop, how long were you working like for the car wash and everything before you kind of started to transition to your own
It
thing?
wasn't long. It was probably like, well, I didn't start like, I mean, I was doing stuff on the side, but I didn't start my, like, everything with the fine line until like 2019. But I worked at Brennan. I worked at a bunch of different dealerships though. Like, I mean, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but I was more so like just soaking up the game. Like, a lot of people don't know that. Like, I worked at Brennan Nissan. I worked at Sun Motors, Audi, and Porsche.
So you worked
pretty much. I worked at the Maserati dealer. I worked on the Carlisle Pike at Faulkner Dodge, Jeep, Fiat, like the one that's all of them. I worked on Paxton at Faulkner Volkswagen.
Okay.
Like, I worked at Turner Key on Eisenhower. Like, I was just hopping, but I didn't care though, because in my mind frame, I had that mind like, it's nothing to get a job. Like, something happened to me right now tomorrow and I got this job, they're gonna put out an ad and say now hiring tomorrow. So it's like, I didn't care. Like, I was hopping around. It didn't look good on my resume, but I didn't care. I was just going to different ones, getting the game. Like, all right, cool. All right, this how the detail department go. Dang. This how the parts department go. Then at the same time, I was getting the plugs too, because I'm like, all right, so this is who the dealer orders their parts from. And you know, when you go to the dealer, they, you know what I mean? But I'm like, all right, who do they order their parts from? Now I got their lines apart. You know what I mean? Like, I was pretty much just soaking in the game, so that way when I went on my own, I had enough knowledge to, you know what I mean?
All right. Yeah, so you said that 2018, 2019 is when the process for Fineline started. So how did that happen? Like, did you have to get licenses, get permits? Like, what really did you have? Did you know what to start at? Like,
I mean, I honestly didn't know where to start. Well, before, like, once it got to a point where it was like, I was working like a warehouse job, and I kept quitting jobs and stuff. I'm like, yo, this ain't it. Like, for a minute, I wasn't even working. I just was thugging it. Like, it is what it is.
Right.
But then I had got a temp job at the depot. And that's where, you know, the depot be paying that good bread. So they was paying the bread. I was just stacking it all. Like, when I say stacking it, I mean, I wasn't even eating lunch on break or nothing. Like, I was bringing little cereal and stuff from the crib. Like, I was stacking it. I'm like, yo, all the money. And it was a temp job too. So it's like, you would work 2-3 weeks and they'd be like, oh, we ain't really got no work. We gonna send you to this building. So I didn't know how long it was gonna last. So I'm like, I gotta, you know what I mean?
Make it work.
Yeah. So I was actually still working there. Now when I put in my 2 weeks, I was like, I ain't even I really was just ready to quit, but I'm like, nah, I'm gonna leave the right way this time. So I put in my I was getting a fine line. Like, the process to start the dealership at my first location it took at least like 5-6 months.
Damn.
But I used to be at work. Working, filing stuff, sending stuff to the state. Like, I was at work doing everything. Like, but I just knew yeah, I'm done with this. Like, this ain't, like, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I already don't really got nothing. So if I quit this job and jump out to go on my own and I fail, I done went and got 15 different jobs already. It's nothing to fill out an application and get another job. Like, that's just what it is. That's the way the world works.
And did you have the name off rip, or that's something that like came to you?
Nah, honestly, it was actually a detailing. Like, at first I wanted to do a detailing like garage. Mm-hmm. But anybody that knows detailing is hard work. So I was like detailing cool. But then my first name, like, I still got the name patented and everything. It was called Quality Sponge. And that was like my detailing joint. Like, I still got the business cards and all.
Okay.
But then I'm like, nah, I want to try to get a dealer's license. I mean, I had a little bit of money and I'm like, well, let's try to see. And then I started doing stuff like I knew people that was selling cars, but I mean, you go to some people, they give you the information. Some people might not give you the information. So it was pretty much like, I was going to certain people, they was giving me little bits and pieces, but they wasn't really trying to give me the rundown on it. So I'm like, all right, cool, I take what I get. So I started going to I didn't even have a dealer's license, and I was going to the auctions. Just, you know what I mean? I feel like you got to observe and see how stuff works for yourself. Like, I didn't have a dealer's license, but I'm still going to the auction. I wasn't buying nothing. I'm just in there watching what's going on, learning the screens and all that stuff like that.
And so it's 5 to 6 months. And in that 5 to 6 months, were you also looking for the location as well, or that was just literally getting the paperwork?
Yeah, well, at first I had to find, once I found a location, which was over on 27th and Derry, it wasn't even really, well, I mean, you've seen that spot before. That's not even really a car lot for real.
Yeah, it was more like a
But
drive.
I knew that it would work for the requirements, because you know you got to go through the state zoning. So I did that first before I even, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I spent money on that, but I didn't know, I could have spent my money on it, be like, yo, this ain't going to work for zoning and stuff. But I knew it was, somebody already had it as a garage before, so I'm like, it got it. You know what I mean? It should work. Yeah, so I did that. And then after I got because you got to have a location before you even start the process and everything.
Okay.
So once I got the location, you know, I started all that. It was probably like 5 months, and then I had the building, so I was just detailing cars and stuff. Like every day I got off of work, I just was detailing cars and stuff. Just, you know what I mean? I had to make money to still pay. I still had to pay the rent for the building, pay the light. And I ain't even selling a car or nothing yet, and I still got to pay the rent and all that. So I just was thugging it out. I'm like, it is what it is. Like, if I spend all my money on this, at least I tried.
And was it any like bumps in the road as far as like with the paperwork with that process?
Oh yeah, I tried. At first, like they got like people that you could pay to do it. I mean, they charge a good chunk of money. Like they charge like $25,000, $3,000. Like it all depends on like what you trying to set up, but they'll set it up for you. But I remember I tried to do the paperwork myself at first. Being cheap, I tried to do the paperwork, send it in, and when you send it in, you pay the application. You like $800-$900. You gotta pay. They sent my job back like, oh, this is wrong. I'm like, dang, I should have just paid them people the first time to do it. So then I ended up going back through them. I mean, there's a couple different people that do it. I ended up just paying them. They set everything up for me. I had to pay them even more to do it.
Because you fucked it up the first time?
Yeah, because I should have just did it. You know, but you know, I ain't really,
you ain't know
I got a certain amount of bread. I'm trying to crunch all this in. Like, I'm like, you know what I mean? So I did that. But then after I did that, the process finally got rolling. You know, they was emailing me, talking to me like, hey, you got to go downtown, get this, pay for this, get a money order. You know what I mean? They start, then I'm like, all right. Yeah, it was kind of like a relief. I'm like, all right, we getting somewhere now. Like
now even though money working.
Yeah, like even though we 4 months in, we getting somewhere. And then finally, I remember it was in, it was June. It was June of 2019. And I got my dealer's license. And that's when I remember they called me. I was at work. They called me, the lady, she's like, hey, she's like, Jeff, we got your tags here. You know, you're able to go to the auctions now and do business. I was just sitting there for a minute. I'm like,
can't believe it.
Yeah, like it was like so I'm sitting there, and that's when I was working at the Navy depot. I'm just sitting there. And I'm like, all right. Well, nah, she had called me, but during work, you know, you can't have your phone out on the floor. Mm-hmm. So I heard the message, like, when she called, and I called her back, you know, set up the time to go pick everything up. And then that same day, like, it was like the middle of the day, I just put in my 2 weeks in the job. I know they was like, it was just random. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm putting my 2 weeks in. Well, nah, I'm lying. I worked for like another week. And then, matter of fact, I had like called off to go to the auction and stuff. And I'm like, this ain't gonna work. Like, I need to be able to. So I just called off. I mean, I put in the 2 weeks. I still went to work for like a week. I like was going to the auction. I had bought like one car, but I'm like, you know, when you're in the car game, the auctions is every day in the morning. Like, you can't work a job and make it to the. It's just not going to happen. So I told myself I was turning. It was when I turned 21. Matter of fact, in August. My birthday's August 1st, so 20. I was like, that was in June. I told myself, like June when I got everything up, I told myself, I was like, man. I was like, August, my birthday, I'm quitting. Like, I mean, I had already quit, but I'm like, come my birthday, I'm like, I'm going all the way in. Like, ain't no backlash. I mean, it was kind of easy. People always ask me, like, you just quit your job. It was kind of easy for me, though. I tell them, you know, everybody, like, I already was hopping job to job, so it was nothing to just like too, so. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it was nothing. Like, I'm already quitting this job, going to this job, quitting. I'm like, this time I'm quitting. I'm going work for myself. Like that's a big,
real
big difference.
Yeah.
Then after that, I just start going crazy. Like I remember August, I sold like 19 cars. Like
damn.
Like I just went crazy. Like the stuff still be popping up on my Facebook, like the memories and stuff. But and from there, the ball was rolling.
I want to talk more about the actual purchasing of the cars and like how that works. So like you said, you first went to the auction and there you observed. So then when you started being able to purchase, like, since you observed, did you kind of have less anxiety, but still was like, how am I to like this? What if he bids and he bids? Like,
I kind of knew how it worked from going. You know what I mean? I went with like people that I know, like other homies that got dealer. I just didn't have my own.
Okay.
Like, it was different once I got my own, because now it's like, all right, I'm going in here. Like, I'm not buying under nobody. I'm not like, this is all me. Like, so I went. I mean, I knew how the process worked. Like, I remember the first car I bought, the first auction car I bought was I bought an XC90, the Volvo truck.
Okay.
That was one of the first cars I bought. I bought it at Harrisburg Auto Auction. Like, that was one of the first cars I bought in the business name, ready to put it out on the lot. I bought that John. That John was junk.
I was about to say, how did that car turn out?
That John was junky. Like, I ended up just selling it for what I paid for it. Like, just that, you know what I mean? I was learned, like, I tell a lot of people, when you buying and flipping on the side, it's different when you get in this lane. Like, it's, like, right now, the market is crazy right now. So, if you don't know how to buy, like, you can, like, put yourself over the edge right now the way these prices is on cars. You just got to know how to buy, and, you know what I mean? Adapt to the market.
You've been doing it in the pandemic.
Yeah, like from me doing it, like I know what prices was before the pandemic and all that. Like I remember I go to the auction week with 5-6 cars easily. Now you might check 20 cars and leave with none. Like that's just what it is, you know what I mean?
And is that just based off of the pricing or like the type of the car quality or?
Yeah, it'd be the car quality, the prices of the car. Sometimes it all depends. Like everybody. Like there might be sometimes I might overpay for a car, but I know that on my lot, that car is a good, like that's a car that never lasts on my lot. So, you know what I mean? You might be like, yo, you $1,000 over the book on that car, but I know that car on my lot, we sell them like it's nothing, so it don't matter for real.
And what are you looking for when it comes to cars? Because most people they're like, oh, a car got 180,000 miles, it's no good, like when you're going to purchase these cars, like what are some things that you check off? Because obviously it's not, you say you're moving with the business name, you're putting it out there when people driving, so you can be risking your reputation of being known as a sleazy car salesman.
The name is everything, honestly. Like I probably got some bad reviews on my Google job, but I don't really have too many. Most of my customers, I try to help them in the most that I can. At the end of the day, I always tell somebody, a car is a car. It don't matter if you go buy a brand new Lamborghini right now. I be seeing, like, when I be online looking at cars, I be seeing brand new Ferraris and all with check engine lights on. Like, a car is a car no matter how much you pay for it. Even if it's, I know people that have bought brand new cars from a dealership with no miles on them and had problems with them and got ticket. Like, it's a car. It's not a, you know what I mean? Like, it was made by a manufacturer line. Like, it's going to be some imperfections. It's just every car has got its own tweaks and, you know what I mean? I just feel like as long as you take care of the car, it'll take care of you. That's what I always tell people. And as far as the miles go, people trip about miles. I'll buy a car with higher miles because that means the car has been driven versus a car with super low miles and you like, well, this is a 2010 with 60,000 miles on it. I don't want that car. What's wrong with that car? I'm gonna take this one that's a 2010 with a $180 on the dash because that means this car been driving. They've been, you know what I mean?
And then the service history.
Yeah, the service. So
all that plays a role into whether or not this is a value car.
Yeah.
And like you said, you try to help people out as much as you can. But has there ever been any situation where you just can't please the customer?
I would say, yeah. I mean, it's just you can't please everybody. And when I say that, I mean, like, there's been situations where something might have happened to a car and the customer's, like, want you to do this, do that. You might be like, listen, you know what I mean? Treat every customer the same. Like, this is what I can do right here. Like I just had a little situation. Somebody bought a as-is car.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like even got the sign right there on the wall.
And that's important
all
to know.
Vehicles
As
sold,
is.
yeah, all vehicles sold with 150 miles and more are sold as is, no warranty. Now we do have like extended plans that you could buy, but that's optional though. It's just cars with them miles on it. You know what I mean? It's a used car. We just try to ensure that the engine, transmission is, you know what I mean? The main things is road safe. We do make sure we're not just selling lemons. We making sure that stuff's good, but. You get some, you get some customers where something like an alternator or something go out and they just swear up and down. Like, I'm like, listen, if I buy a used car and the alternator goes out, I'm happy.
Yeah, because it could have been a transmission.
It could have been an engine like I'm very happy that the alternator went out. There just be little stuff like that.
That could happen on a newer car.
Yeah, like you might,
something that just happens.
Yeah, like you might offer the person like, all right, listen. This is how much the part costs. I'll cover the part, you cover the labor. They be like, oh, you cover the whole thing. Or there's been times where I covered the whole bill and then customers still try to take you to court or something. People just
they're just trying to get it right.
Yeah, like they just trying to get over it, but you know.
But overall, like you said, you have a pretty good track record.
Oh yeah, as far as track record overall, though, we definitely like I keep track of all the like out of a whole year, I keep track of how many cars I had to, you know what I mean? All right, we had to help this customer with a trans on this, help this customer with a fuel pump on this car. I keep track of all that because at the end of the year, if I sold 250 cars and I only had to help 4 customers, it's a good year. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a bad dealer because I sold 4 bad cars out of 250 cars. Like,
and how many cars do you think you have sold at this point under Fineline?
I definitely sold over 1,000 cars for sure. Like, it's, I mean, the market changed now, so we kind of went down. Like, I was averaging, like, before the COVID and all that changed, I was definitely averaging at least, like, 15 to 20 cars a month. Like, that was with and that's when I was all cash over at my old location. Like, I didn't have the stuff I got now, finance and everything like that.
So that, you was really hustling.
Yeah, like, I was really hustling it up. Like, I was all cash. Like, I mean, most of my cars were cheaper, too, like, $5,000 and under, 25, 35, 45. You know what I mean? All my cars was really $5,000 and under. But I mean, now we still do at least like 12 to 15 cars a month. Got financing too, so that helps out. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Everybody don't got the money to just buy a car flat out cash.
And when was the first time you seen one of your cars in traffic? Like, what's your tagline on the back? Like, you remember that when you first start seeing them around the city?
Yeah, I don't remember like what car it was, but yeah, I see them all the time now. Like that'd be like my motivation. I'd be trying to flood them. Like
I pulled up behind my own car.
Like I'm trying. I still be seeing them now. Like I'll be seeing some cars, and one thing about me, I'm about consistency and always changing and going up a level. So like my stickers now is different from my old. Like when I moved here, I got new stickers. Like I rebranded the logo a little bit and all that stuff. So I'll be seeing cars that I've been sold with the old logo on it, still rolling. So I mean, that'd be good. I'm like, dang, they still got that car. That was 2 years ago.
Right.
They still pushing in good condition. I mean, that's good. That's the customers that I know gonna come back because I sold them a good car. Which I mean, I'm trying to sell everybody a good car.
No, that's definitely good. Now you spoke it on a little bit, but how exactly, like, when we were in the peak of the pandemic, like, how did that affect, like, your business? Were you afraid of losing everything? Like,
I ain't gonna say I was afraid of losing it, because I was like, I mean, it just made me kind of, I'm like, dang, like, I'm self-employed now.
Yeah.
So it was like, but then again, I'm used to, like I know what it's like that I have no job or nothing, and it still make things happen. So it's like I wasn't really scared. I was just like, dang, I done went hard to get right here. Like, and then I remember during the pandemic, people couldn't, like, dealers couldn't sell cars for a minute. But being as though I was saving up money, it helped me out, because when the pandemic came, dealers couldn't sell cars, but the auction was still open. But dealers wasn't buying cars for real. So I was buying. Like, I was spending all my money on buying cars. Because I just knew, I'm like,
it's going to breathe.
I'm like, I gotta buy a car. Like, I literally spent all my money on cars. Like, I didn't really have much money left. But I'm like, I got 15 cars though. Like, and I got them all for the low, because the pandemic, dealers were scared to buy. So they like, well, we can't sell cars. Why am I buying? And I was thankful enough to have the cash to be able to buy some cars. So then, once that PPP money came and they
flooded the block.
I was trying to get the PPP, but you know you had to be in business for a certain amount of years and have a certain employees and all that.
And
so
you wasn't trying to risk it like the rest of the people.
Yeah, I'm not. That ain't worth doing that. Then I lose everything. So I'm like, I did it. Like when I did it, I think they gave me I got like $2,800 back for. I mean, it was something. I bought a car with it.
Yeah.
I just bought a little cheap car with it and started flipping it. But it's like, I just be like, dang, like these businesses are getting 40, 50. I'm like, man.
You just think of what you would have did.
Yeah, like it's kind of like putting it in the wrong hands. Like put it in the hands of somebody that's gonna make it do what it's supposed to do for real.
So you better have Fineline on the
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, but you know, I still made money though. Like once dealers was able to sell, Ben and Dog bought a bunch of cars during the closing downtime. I mean, it was kind of like blind faith for real. I just was like, I'm gonna buy them. Yeah, like I'm gonna buy them. They cheap. Open back up. They gone.
So, obviously, you were at that first location for what, like a year or so, 2 years?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, because I moved here at this location at the beginning of 2021. Like January 2021 is when I opened up here. So yeah, I was there for almost like a year and a half.
And you were looking for the other locations, like you said, the first one, it was a garage more so you kind of like made it work, but you wanted the actual lot.
Yeah,
so
like I wanted like that actual lot structure. I mean, where I was at, I made it work. Like I used to get numbers out that little location. But I'm glad I started that way because like you said, I analyzed and I looked at other car dealers' downfalls. Like they go out, they get a big lot, they get a floor plan. They buy a bunch of cars. Cars ain't selling. Now you tapped out. Like, you got to pay all that back. So I'm like, nah, this is cool where I'm at. I'm going to stack my money up. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to make the move. Like, I'm not worried about what other moves people making. That's them. I'm going to make the move when I'm ready, when I can afford it, where if something happened, I got the money to put myself back in position.
And when you came across this location, because you were looking for a couple different spots.
Yeah, I was looking for a good amount of time. But it's just a matter of, you know what I mean? Everything happened when it's, you know.
And like you said, you're more pleased with the results you've been getting here? I know it's post-pandemic, but...
Oh, no, yeah. This is definitely... I always say everything happened the way it should have happened at the right time.
Good. Now, also one thing that I feel like happens in your life, in addition to, you know, finally pushing yourself and just going all in as the entrepreneur, is you also became a father. Yeah. So how was it balancing the newfound fatherhood on top of starting a business? Like, how did that affect, everything you had going on?
I feel like that was the same thing. Like, during the time of me, you know what I mean, knowing I'm about to have a kid and stuff, I feel like that really sparked that, like you ain't got time to play around no more. Like, this is really, you know what I mean? I mean, I still had the ups and downs with it, but it was more so like, you know what I mean? Like this, like the position I was in with it, I feel like that just made me go harder and, you know what I mean? Like,
and what has fatherhood been like for you?
It's been cool. I mean, my son 3 now, so he getting older and stuff. You know what I mean? I definitely like him, and I got a little brother too. So both of them, like, I'll be trying to, you know what I mean? Like my son, he be here. I mean, he's only 3 now, but I still be trying to like show him, like he be trying to be clean the cars and stuff. But I just want to, once he's really to that age, I want to show him. So, like, when he in high school, he could be, like, self-employed, like, working here, like,
he don't even got
like, making more money than you would make working a job or working for someone else. Like, that's really, like, my vision, too, to create that, you know what I mean? Instead of, like I had to work and stuff. So
it's like, lay the blueprint down.
Like pretty much, lay the blueprint down. Like, I know how people be like, oh, that was given to you or your parents. Hey, that's cool. Sometimes I be seeing some kids that got multi-million-dollar businesses passed down to them and their parents is rich. Hey, if I can be, you can't be mad because my parents did what they had to do to be able to pass something down to me. Like,
that's the goal.
That's the goal. So that's one thing I hate when people say that. They be like, oh, that was passed down to you. Or now it's a difference when some people acting like it wasn't passed down and like they grinded for it. It's a big difference. But there's some people that literally tell you, they be like, yo, my parents owned this, bro. They passed it down to me. I just learned it. But their parents also groomed them as they was growing up to be able to handle that.
And that's important. Yeah, because they could have passed it to them and they fuck with the whole family's business and now we in bankrupt.
Now we in bankrupt, we tapped out.
Like, yo, we just gave it to you last year.
Yeah, exactly.
What was a 50-year business?
That's what I'm saying.
So, no, that's important. And I think it's also beneficial, especially being a black father, being able to provide that example, be in his life, show him like, son, like, listen, I've been doing this for years. It's easy. The game is like, I'm here to give it to you. And I'm pretty sure he's going to, as he gets older and starts to understand, he's going to start to be like, yo, my dad's really dope. Like, for him to be able to put that in my mind, plant them seeds, he's going to show me. Like, you could tell me one thing, but for you to be like, look, this is mine. Like, and I started when at 21, 20 years old. So it's a great example as well as like your little brother, everybody. Do you, cause you like, you stick to yourself, but you also have a group of friends. Like, so when you told them, you know, what you was about to do, what was their response to?
You know, it's so crazy because I didn't really even tell nobody.
You didn't?
I just did it. Like, I mean, I told people, like, my mom knew, like, my grandma, my grandpa knew, I told them. My grandma, she was, like, questioning. She's like, you sure you want to do that? Like, you just going to quit? I'm like, man, listen, this is what I'm on. Like, she's like, all right, well, if that's what you want to do. And I remember my grandpa, too. He was like, you sure? He's like they wasn't doubting me, but you got to remember, they old school. So they come from, you know what I mean? All they know is get a job, hold it down. You know, that's like even now, my grandpa still now, when I be telling him, I be like, yeah, I can go buy this property or do this. He be like, what? But he's so, my grandpa, 76 years old? So it's like he don't know like the way the game is now.
And he
like,
lived in a time frame where
he lived in a time, so I just be trying to get them to understand. But they be seeing me doing it, so they just be like, well,
they might probably
they probably be like, well, I guess he proving us wrong. Even though it's not that, I just understand the times that they grew up in.
It wasn't fathom.
Yeah, like it wasn't. They didn't have an iPhone that they can make money off of and all. Like, you know what I mean? It's a whole different generation.
And what has been the response from the community? Obviously, like you said, you've been selling cards, but like just not even people coming to buy cards. Like, do people just share your posts? Like,
yeah, I mean, I get some people when I share it. I'm gonna be real. I don't really pay attention to that stuff. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, we not cool. Like, you couldn't even share my post. Listen, anybody that watched me start from where I started at to now, they should know. Like, you know what I mean? I don't really have to. I guess I should say I don't have to ask for other people's support. I want the support, but I'm not pressed on it. At the end of the day, I'm gonna go where I need to go regardless.
And are you finding most of your customers are traveling from like either across the river or they're parts of the city that you came here just to check my cars out?
I mean, I get leads from, I got different things like Carfax. Okay. And, you know what I mean? I do like Facebook promotions and different stuff like that. So I get people coming from all over sometimes. Like people, you know what I mean? You just never know. People be coming from Lancaster, Harrisburg area, across the river, Lebanon. Like, people come from all over. I've had a few people come from out of town, buy a car, like Maryland. Yeah, I've had like 2 people come from Maryland to buy a car. It's just all of, you know what I mean?
And you just kind of spoke on it a little bit, but do you think like your marketing strategy plays a role in your success? Well, plays a major factor in success? Because like I said, you're I see it everywhere, like from the Facebook ads to, like you said, you got Carfax, you're constantly promoting, showing the behind the scenes of what you got going on. Yeah,
it definitely does. I mean, it costs to do business. That's the most I can, like I know people, they be trying to like, they be like, oh, I'm not paying for that. I'm not paying. If you want to get to a certain level, you're going to have to spend some money on something. Like, and I mean, I just feel like I put because I'm not going to lie, at first, I used to not want to, I'm like, man, I ain't paying for that. But then as I started paying for it and I started growing more, I started noticing like, all right, well, I got to pay for this because I got to put this in front of, like, sometimes stuff got to get in front of the right people. Like, you know what I mean? Me posting it on my Facebook is only going to show the Harrisburg area, which people that already know me. Like, I'm trying to get this in front of people that You know what I mean?
Just come
I want it in
look
front of
for cars,
everybody.
yeah.
Doctors, nurses, I don't care what you do. I want it in front of you. So sometimes you just got to pay for certain platforms to get it where you want to get it at.
It's all an investment.
Yeah.
As I also mentioned, you recently transitioned into the real estate game as well. So how did that come about?
The real estate was really, it's something I always wanted to get into. It just was a matter of me, you know what I mean, getting my money right and being in a position to do it, I should say. So a lot of people don't know real estate. It eats up anybody that's in it and really doing it. It eats up your money. Like most people, they might get into real estate. They might buy like one property and then they notice how much money it takes and then it's like they ghost. They done. When real estate eats up the money, you just gotta know. And that's another thing. It comes from having the right people around you that know the real estate game and know how to, you know what I mean, get hard lending and stuff like that. It's a lot to it.
And what would you say is the biggest difference between the real estate and car game?
Passive income. That's like I'm sleep, but I know at the end of the day, like you know what I mean? That's money that I know is gonna, I mean, don't get me wrong, a tenant cannot pay their rent or something like that. But it's just, if you're not in real estate, I don't care if you gotta save up for 2-3 years or fall off your feet to get into it. Real estate something you definitely want to get into. It's just, it's another stream of income and I don't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just getting paid rent, or some people flip and wholesale. Like it's easy money.
Let me say, what is your goal? And are you trying to like you said, buy to flip to get more money, or are you trying to invest to have a block or a community that you own? Like,
yeah, I mean, right now I just do like the renting out.
Okay.
I am trying to I got a few right now that I'm trying to get, and I was gonna fix and flip. And like my dad, he got a few properties too. My uncle do too. So, and he does more. Like my uncle just sold a property. He like fixed it up, like gutted it out and everything, fixed it up, sold it, made a profit. Like it's different ways too. It's just every house isn't made to be rented out, I should say. Like you gotta look at the money term of it. Like, all right, but if I got this house super cheap and I know I can rent it out and get my money back in a year and a half, why wouldn't I rent that one out? Versus this one, I'm gonna pay a little more for it. I got a couple dollars into it. It's gonna take me 10 years to get my money back for it. Why wouldn't I go and flip this one?
Especially with the gentrification that's happening in the city with
the market's crazy.
It's a lot of potential money coming in.
Yeah, I always tell, like right now, I always tell people like, yo, you're not scared with the pandemic and the price inflation. I just be like, yo, if you know yourself as like a person, you know what you're capable of, and you know your financial situation and stuff, this is the time to this is the time to be buying stuff and because it's only inflating right now. So if you might buy a little property that got more work to it than you would normally do, but look at the way property is right now. So right now you got that bubble to fix that and still sell it for a good price and make some money. So it's like you can't really, I don't know, that like pandemic stuff, like yeah, we are in a pandemic and a crisis right now with prices and shortages and stuff like that, but it's just another it's still ways to make money. It's just it's all in your head. If you thinking like, oh, this is a shortage, nah, you just gotta go and get it. Like it ain't, you know what I mean? It's out there.
Now, do you think your age intimidates people?
Sometime, I don't know. Like sometimes, like I be trying to link up with people and do stuff sometime. But sometimes I feel like, I actually made a post about that a minute ago. Like I feel like my age and sometimes people see my dedication and hustle to things. So they might be like, nah, he might pass me. Like I can't, you know what I mean? When really that's not the case. Like I look at a situation like if I can do this by myself and get it done in a year, or if I can split it down the middle and do it with a partner and get it done in 6 months, why wouldn't I do it in 6 months? You know what I mean? That's just how you gotta look at things, but sometimes people don't look at it that way.
And how do you view yourself and your accomplishments that you made thus far? Like, are you pleased with it, or are you like I know I can still grow, or do you expect it to be here this quickly?
I'm gonna say I didn't really expect it to be here this quickly. Like I kind of gave myself like a 5-year plan, which right now I'm only getting into year 3.
Mm-hmm.
So my plan is still, you know what I mean? It's just all about your vision. Like I know what I want, where I'm trying to be. So yeah, people might look at me like, oh yeah, he's in a good successful spot. I mean, I am, but at the same time, to me, it's like I'm nowhere near it. Like, and I'm only 24, so it's like,
I still got so
you
much.
know what I mean? Like I'm only like I still got a lot more running to do. Like I still gotta, you know what I mean?
What would be some of those goals that you're looking to still accomplish business wise?
Business wise, I mean, like for the car lot wise, I do eventually want to get like employees.
Okay.
Probably like a salesman or two. You know what I mean? Like I want to have like a well-rounded business,
Mm-hmm.
but it just starts with the foundation first. So that's why I go so hard the way I do to get everything to the platform that it's at. So once I do branch out and stuff, I know like, all right, you know what I mean? This is that, this is this. And I mean, right now I've been strict, like I still be playing around with the real, I don't want to say playing around, but I still be in the real estate and looking at properties and buying, but
you would go in
like
the car.
like I'll be in and out of it. Like I mean, I got properties rented out and stuff. Like I'm making money off of it, but that's the good thing about real estate. Like I don't have to be hands on. Like I fixed up the property, is good. All I'm doing is getting paid rent every month now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know what I mean? I can focus on this and still be making money from there. But I want to get the car business to a certain point where
you don't have to be so hands-on.
where I don't have to be so hands on with it. I mean, you always gonna be hands on. Anybody that loves cars, like buying cars to me is like an addiction. Like I always be buying cars like online.
You'd rather be like the guy, I'm going to auction, buy the car, y'all focus on cleaning.
Like even sometimes I'll be at the crib, like they got online auctions. I'll be on there buying, still good price. I might be on there 2:00 in the morning getting a deal, all because I'm up at 2 in the morning and everybody else is asleep or something. You know what I mean?
No, it makes sense. My last question pretty much is, when people think of you, what do you want them to remember about you and the legacy that you're building?
I would really say just a regular person. Like I look at myself like I'm a regular person, man. I'm not no better than nobody. I might be doing more than someone else, but like I always tell people, like this can all end tomorrow. And that same person that you might have thought was behind you in front tomorrow, like that's what I always be saying. You gotta stay humble and just stay consistent, and you know what I mean. Just stay in your lane because you never know. Like things happen, and I'd be like, even if all this would, the car lot and everything crashed tomorrow, I wouldn't even be upset with myself because I know the blueprint. I would literally go set up shop somewhere else. Give me 6 months, I'm back running. Like that's just what it is. Is you know what I mean?
Nice, I understand. Like I said, I think you gave the people a pretty good understanding of you as a person, as well as your drive and motivation and where you're looking to take the business. Like you said, you're only in year 3 and you pretty much hit a lot of milestones that you were looking to do within your 5-year mark. So just tell the people where to find you, the business pages, so that way anything they need a car, come to Jeff.
Yeah. You can get on. Well, we got Instagram. We got our website. Everything is Fineline Auto Group LLC. Well, Instagram's Fineline Auto Group LLC, and then our website is at www.finelineautogroup.llc.com.
Right.
And we on Facebook too. So if you look us up, Fineline Auto Group LLC. Fineline is one word. We always keep our inventory updated. So just check us out. Free Carfaxes on every car that we got listed on the website. We provide a Carfax with it for our customers. So.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he's a good man, good dealership. Get with him. But again, I just want to thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk with us, and thank everyone for tuning in. Let's Cloudy Conversations.
No problem.